think this is where pain is, spend a little bit of time there, get out, go someplace else, check, come back in if it's feeling good, go back and forth. That's why also we do all the rest assess and reassess and all that kind of thing too. So we'll start with a nice quick foot treatment. Start with your feet parallel to each other. Think about just kind of noticing how your feet are placed onto the ground. So whether it is even like your toe position, are your toes squinched in or your toes separate from each other? And then bring your head and chest up. And then take a nice long deep breath. And just kind of notice how your body's feeling. Good. Think of now the midline of your body. So if you had to draw kind of, in a sense, a line from the arch of your foot all the way up through the floor of your pelvis, all the way up through the neck, does it feel like you're being pulled toward the center, being pulled away? Do your legs feel spiraled onto each other? And then individually on your legs, does your right foot feel like it's putting more weight into the ground than your left? Do your knees feel the backside of your knees, one pressed back, one more kind of nice soft dome? Do your glutes feel like they're tight squeezed, contracted? Lift up all 10 toes. See if you can do it all at the same time. See if you can keep your eyes closed, and then on your exhale, drop all 10 toes. What you're looking for there is just a settled kind of an ease, or do you kind of whoosh, whoosh off to one side? That's your autopilot or your body's intrinsic kind of reflexive balance. That could be off balance. So I'm going to start with the ball underneath the center of my right foot, and you're just going to press straight in, finding tolerable pressure. Have your feet be a little bit wider than hips distance apart, and you're just shifting from side to side. So you're just noticing that pressure at the bottom of your foot. If the ball rolls slightly forward or if the ball rolls back, that's fine. You're just kind of noticing that pressure. You're grounding yourself. Go ahead and pause. Try to keep that weight even across both feet. Roll those shoulders back. Take a nice deep breath. Inhale, take your arms up. Exhale, begin to roll yourself around the midline of the body and then back up. Just trying to tell your body where all your joints are. Step back with your left foot. We'll move the ball about an inch or so back to where the arch meets the heel at position 0.5, and then begin with the glide. So remember, the glide is all about consistent pressure back and forth. So it's a two-directional pattern, and really it's for prepping the tissue. Since we're doing a mini treatment, we're not going to use the large firm ball. Take that ball all the way to the heel. Your foot slides forward, and then take the ball back to the arch of the foot. And then one more time to the heel and back to the arch. Pause at the arch of the foot, right where the heel meets the arch. Put a little bit more weight, and then we'll shear. And shear is that compressive and release. So we're compressing, twisting the muscle against the bone. Pause, and then release. And then we rinse. And that rinsing is just a directional pattern to get that fluid return back towards the heart. Remember, the brain comes to the surface at the skin, so you want to try to push back to your heel instead of pull to your toe. So go the other way, Lynn. So start at your toe and push. Like you're, there you go, like you're going to actually take a step forward. How are you going to do it there?
I went a little too far.
And then you give it a kick. One more time, press, and then let's do friction. And friction is multi-directional. You can open the toes. The legs may start feeling a little tingly. That is a little bit of fluid return coming back up the midline of the body. And then pause. We'll just check in for a quick second. Bring those shoulders back. And just notice that right side. That right side may just feel more even. It may feel warm, it may feel tingly. There may be some connection to that hole that we have been in there for a second. Go ahead and start with the ball on the left foot. Again, the nice thing about a foot treatment is that you can do a full foot treatment with the toes and the whole thing and position point pressing. You can do something quick, get in, get out, and then pause, take your arms up. Give yourself the opportunity to do different here and there. Let the body just kind of learn about what the body can do and how the body can feel. Sometimes you'll notice you need more time with the roller and the ball. Sometimes you're good with a little less. Move that ball back to position 0.5 where the arch meets the heel and begin to do your glide. So it's press back and forth. Almost think of like a hip in, hip out, like a small dance, a one-legged dance. My daughter told me a long time ago, just move one part of your body and it makes you look like you know what you're doing without a lot of effort. So if you've got good shoulders, just kind of roll your shoulders right when you're dancing. Yeah, that's her dance strategy. Instead of trying to move the whole body and getting the whole body into it, this just kind of helps the body. And then you don't have to worry about what the feet are doing. Your feet can stay planted. It looks like you're cool. Move that ball back to the arch.
No one told me these
I'll be
things.
ready for the next back.
I know, and then back and forth. And if only I've known. And then just that nice tight shear. Keep that weight there just for a moment, and then release, and then rinse. So you're going toe to heel on the rinse, almost like you're stepping forward or gliding forward. You can even transfer your weight into that first foot, almost as if you would take a step with your back foot. A couple more, and again, it's one direction, and it's back towards the heel. And last one, and then we'll just go right into friction. Again, friction is kind of where, however you want. It doesn't have to be specific, so you can do inside of the arch, outside of the arch. You can kick the ball out and lose track of the ball, start over again. Just little tricks we play on our feet. It's like a blind foot. Where do I? Am I to get it? Do I have it? Do I have it? All right, go ahead. After all the goofing around, we'll stop, bring the feet back together again, look at the feet, and then bring your head up. So initially, the first impression is, do you feel grounded? Do you feel like if the footprint is equal on both sides? Do you feel the toes separate from each other? As you take your attention up that midline of the body, does that feel neutral, even on both sides? Or does one knee still feel caved in or twisted? Do the glutes, hamstrings, quadriceps feel kind of tight, tense, or drawn in? And if you lift up all 10 toes, when you do that, does it change just ever so subtly? Do you have that big dramatic change still? And when you exhale, drop your toes and notice that draw back into stability. Good. So hopefully you've noticed a change there. We're going to sit on the ground. We're going to start right in on a calf treatment. So you're going to start with a seated position. So your calves are going over. Now it's great actually to have, like Lynn has, like skin to skin, because you get that kind of that twisting on the skin itself, or Dave has it too. Mine got the thickest tights on I think I own today, so we'll see if I even feel this. So look at you, fancy convertible tights. Take your hands back behind you, gently put your weight on your hands. I brought this out just in case you want to raise your arms up so you're not sitting all the way back on your hands if you want, if it's feeling fine. Feeling fine. Good. And then so all you're just doing is start at your ankles and just let the weight of your legs do the work. Try to keep your feet from being flexed, just back and forth. Separate your feet so they're not right up against each other so you have some room to move. And just kind of think about the weight of the back of the legs. As you kind of go down towards the ground, you can put a little bit more pressure. And if the roller moves up the calves, just return the roller back to the place where you started. And then again, pause, and let's just tick-tock the calves right and left. You may feel some barriers in there, little bumps, little kind of goodies that you're finding inside those calves. And then tip to one side on one foot and just do one leg. And then you might find a specific barrier on that side. Pause up against it without being right on it, and then just roll the ankle. So gentle way to do calf work while you're seated. And then pause, and let's do the other leg. So just roll that leg back and forth. You may notice a bump or a barrier at a different place. And then bump up to that little barrier, and then again, roll the ankle. Then you're just gonna pause and then knead. So press back, pull in on those calves. Good. Go ahead and pause, just let the legs rest, and let's come to our back. So we're going to do back of thigh. So I want you to take the roller so it's just on the other side of the knee. When you lay back, you may have to readjust. Go ahead and lay back all the way onto the roller. Feel the roller just above the knee. It's not actually in that space. Remember, we have masses and spaces, and we want to keep the roller onto the masses. And then we're just going to just in and out with the hamstrings. So for me, I can feel my tights kind of twisting on the roller. If you're skin to roller, you're going to feel that pulling more specifically on the skin. It's not that it doesn't happen with the tights on, but the tights do kind of move a little bit. And then pull back and forth. A couple more times. And then just pause, just let your legs drop. We'll move the roller up just about a click. So now you're about mid-thigh. So you're about the middle of your thigh if you were sitting on a chair, where your thighs would meet the edge of a chair. And again, pull and press your legs away from each other. So again, you're not necessarily just kind of banging your ankles into each other, but think of toes going out, toes coming in, heels touching, then toes touching, breathing. Good, and then pause. Just let your legs settle into the ground. And then we're gonna move the roller up. So I'm using my heels to kind of pull the roller up. I'm gonna reach down, take the roller, make kind of a smiley face out of it around the outsides of my hips, drop my legs over the roller again. My legs will be more elevated because the roller's just high on my legs. And then the toes go out and toes come in again. So the beautiful thing about the melt treatment is also just that you get the opportunity at what's called flipping the map. So we didn't start with a rest assess on the ground. We started with a standing assessment. We're going to do a rest assess again, just to kind of see where we're at. Go ahead and pause. Don't move your right leg and just move your left. So same movement, just single leg. Good, and then pause that right leg and let's do the left. Good, so you kind of get that upper, inner, and outer thigh, especially as you wrap that roller kind of around the outside of your hips. Good, go ahead and pause. Release the roller. Take that roller completely out from underneath you and just put it away. Hopefully it doesn't roll away. And let's do now an rest assess. So we did a standing assessment, and you noticed the right foot and left foot if they felt parallel to each other. And when you lifted the toes, if you felt balanced after you dropped your toes. Now we're going into the rest assess, and we're seeing the entire back line of the body, how it's imprinting into the ground. So notice how your hips feels more specifically, because when you release the hamstrings and calves, you oftentimes really release the pelvis. And when that pelvis feels centered and level, like evenly weighted butt cheeks, the hamstrings can also feel like they touch the ground or get close, and the same with the calves. Now you take the next area, which would be that kind of that second area from your pelvis to your rib wall. Very often that feels like a domed back arch, maybe because you've been sitting a while, maybe there's some indigestion going on in your stomach, maybe you've got tension and you haven't been breathing, you've been doing under a lot of stress. That can be a lot of stuck stress into the midline of the body. And then, of course, the first area, which is for right now our third area, but is the shoulder girdle. So notice if your shoulders feel level to the ground all the way to the hands, if your head feels weighted evenly, and if you feel even on the weight of your back, so there's no poking into the shoulder blades, and you feel evenly weighted to the ground. Just take several nice even breaths through the nose and exhale. And exhale, and one more time. Just take that survey over the body. So from your shoulder girdle to your diaphragm to your pelvis to your feet. And our last space is drawing a line up through the center with two evenly based halves. How does the right and left side of the body feel? Let the arms drop back to your sides. Notice if you feel off or on, and let's slide those feet in so the shins are vertical. We're going to shift to one side and roll ourselves up. So now that we've done that lower body start, we're going to go straight into the upper body, and we're going to take the roller behind the shoulder blades. So the positioning of the feet are kind of just slightly in front of the knees. Lift the hips up, tuck, so the pelvis is kind of tucked on the ground. You want to check in with the rib wall and see if the ribs are down. And then if this bothers your neck at all to be in this position, have the roller go higher towards your upper back so more of your head is stabilized by the roller and by your hands. If you can, then have the roller so that when you move those shoulders, you can feel your shoulder blades kind of punching into the roller. Take your hands behind your head, let your head drop back, and then let's just do a rib length assessment. Notice as you lay over the roller and breathe into that upper back, how those ribs feel, how the upper back and shoulders feel, maybe the neck. Bring your head back towards the center just a tiny bit. Tilt your left elbow towards your left hip. Feel the right rib wall. How does that feel? And then center, does it feel tight, crammed in? And then tilt over to your right. And again, notice the left side and feel how you breathe into that left side. Do those elbows open wide? You feel like you're twisting the neck at all. Try to soften there. And then inhale, center. Let's do it one more time to the left. Notice the right rib wall. And then center and notice as you tilt to the right, notice your left. Do you shift into your hips? Do you try to get out of it in a sense? And then let's come back to center. Go ahead and lift your hips up. We're just going to rock back and forth, about 2 inches forward and 2 inches back. Only lift your hips up just enough to scuff the ground or to miss the ground. Breathing. Let the head weight rest back into the hands so you're not pushing into the neck at all. Good. Go ahead and pause. Drop your hips in. Pin your elbows around your ears and begin to twist the upper back. Now be aware if you're twisting your pelvis too. Can you do this without moving your hips at all? Think about kind of pinning those elbows to the ears and just kind of screwing in on one little vertebra. Pause, and let's go down. So bring the roller up towards your head, your butt down towards the base of your roller or the mat, and then shift back and forth. Let those elbows drop out. Nice deep breaths. Pause again, just above the first spot that you stopped. Pin the elbows around the back, push into the roller, and again, a new spot that you're just kind of punching back and forth. Kind of like pinning one of those little vertebrae right onto the roller. And then pause again. Let's do one more spot. So we're almost to the top of the shoulders, at the top of the back. Lift the hips up, roll 2 inches forward, 2 inches back. Let your head drop back. Make sure your back's not arched so you can keep your tailbone pretty low here. And then again, pause, so the roller's high on the shoulders, and again, you're going to twist the upper back. Now notice again, higher you go, do you tend to move your rib cage a lot more, or can you just kind of use those shoulders back and forth? Also, do your hips move? And again, pause. This time you're going to lift your hips up as high as you can, and then you're going to push your back into the roller to straighten your legs, keep your head up, and then reset the feet right where they are. Roll, so you bring the roller back to the top of the shoulders, and again, push yourself back. And then I'm going to readjust my roller so I don't go off my mat. Start with the roller at the top of the shoulders, hips as high as I can, and then push back till my legs are straight. Good. From here, I'm going to recheck, so reset myself in my back. I'm going to recheck, make sure I'm in the right spot. And then I'm going to recheck my rib length. Laying over the roller, a lot more extension without letting the ribs flare or lift. Bringing my head up, tilting to the left, noticing my right side a little more open, and tilting to the right side, feeling the left. Breathing into that space, noticing the left shoulder will drop back a little easier. Let's come back into center, lift the hips up, drop the hips to the left hip. So you're kind of riding on the left, your right butt cheek is off, your left hand is out reaching towards your right knee. And then let's do a counterclockwise circle with the shoulder. Breathing, so you're kind of laying on your back, half of your back. Breathing, 3, 2, and then as you come up, take that left elbow up as best you can and over the roller and back. Take your elbow up and over the roller and back. Good. Up and over as high as you can and back. One more time. Take the roller, take the elbow up and over the roller. As you come back, place your hand on your head and roll like you're going to take a little nap on your lower arm. Take your top hand, place it on top of your bottom, and we're going to lift the rib cage and drop the rib cage. So let your head rest on your hands so that kind of like you're taking a nap. You're riding on the outside of the shoulder. Pull up and press into the roller. Good. Pause. And then take your right hand behind your head again, lean back, and then just punch the left arm up and down. So you're kind of screwing, you're kind of twisting the skin on the left arm. So you're shearing the left arm. Keep that head back so you're not all tucked and curled in. And then pause. As best you can, take your head back and let's shift over to your right hip. Right hand out in line with your left knee, and then let's do a nice roll kind of counterclockwise on that right shoulder. So pulling back towards your head and reaching out. And then on the next turn, take the elbow up and over and up and back, up and over and back. And one more time, up and over. As you come back, you're going to bring the hand, so on your right side, you're going to bring the right hand underneath your head, and you're going to lay on your right side. Take your top hand, make a little pillow, lift the ribs, and push into the roller. So I like to think of this as if you're going into a really crowded, not socially distanced elevator, and you press into that elevator to get yourself that one last piece of room in that elevator. One more time. You really want to get in that elevator. Got to get to the 30th floor. Take your left hand, place it behind your head, and lean back into that left hand, and then just kind of give that little like pump to the truckers that are going by to get them to honk their horn. 2, and last one. Let's do one more rinse. So lay on your back. Bring that roller all the way to the upper part of the back right before you get to the shoulders. Lift the hips up as high as you can. One stretch back for a nice good long rinse, and then legs get long. And you're just kind of hanging out on the roller. Good. Drop into one elbow, and let's come down onto the ground, and let's do a rest reassess on the ground again. So now we get to kind of notice and compare the lower half of the body and upper half of the body. So we directly worked on the shoulder, but can you tell a difference in the pelvis? Did that kind of throw the pelvis off? Does it feel better? Does it feel more like you've got some more weight down into the ground? How about the midline, kind of the area too between the rib cage and the top of the pelvis, the diaphragm, where that likes to get stuck stress? As you breathe in, do you feel that less of a high back arch? And then, of course, that first area that stuck stress loves to live, the shoulder girdle to the arms, does that feel really a lot more evenly weighted? As you exhale, you feel yourself almost sunk into the ground. And then your head feels evenly weighted back to the ground as well. All right, now that we've done the upper body, we've done a little bit of the lower body, let's do a revisit to the lower half of the body. Hips come up. You're going to sit on that top of the roller. So you want to double check the body position because you don't want the ribs to flare. So you want the ribs to sink so the weight comes into the shoulders. And you want the pelvis on top of the roller, not towards the lower back and not down. So reach and make sure that your butt cheeks are off the roller. Bring your right knee and left knee up. Slide your hands up so your fingertips rise like the rising sun over your knees. And see if you can do that tuck and tilt challenge where you keep the roller or you move the roller with the pelvis, but you keep your knees from moving towards your head. So the roller should be slightly moving back and forth as you move and tuck and tilt your pelvis. A good level, good connected pelvis, the roller will move very easily. If you're not and very tight in there, you'll kind of just, your pelvis will just up and down over the top of the roller. From there, just let your hands drop to the ground, and let's begin an SI joint shear, moving those knees around clockwise. Again, you're trying to find your kind of a balance between your breath and your movement without kind of over focusing on it. Movement moves the body. You're doing all this nice stuff. You might as well get the body moving on the inside using that breath. Good. Make the circle just a little bit broader so you can feel the arms touching the roller at the outside of the hips. And then make the circle smaller and smaller. Good. Go ahead and pause in the center, and let's just march the knees. Chin stays close to the sternum, neck is long, a little bit of a lengthening in the neck. And then go ahead and pause, knees in the center. Let's tip the knees to the right. Notice if the left and the right knees sink back, so keep that left knee in line with the right, and then begin to circle, small circles on the right side. So notice if the left hip really has a hard time staying up with the right. Make the circles small and slow. Keep those knees connected. Keep that left hip from drifting back. Pause, and again, let's do that marching with the knees. And you can feel a little bit of a shearing on the outside of the right hip with the hand on the roller. And then pause in the center. Let's bring the knees back to the center and over to the right. Over to the left. And then again, a small circle. Is that right knee staying in line with the left? When you tipped, did you pull the hip with you, or did you let the right hip stay back? Remember, you're trying to kind of create that little tabletop up there. Good, and then pause again, and then let's do marching on the left side. Good, and then pause again. Bring those knees back to center. Let your knees just drop into the chest. Give them a little bit of a pull. Exhaling. Good. Keep a hold of that right leg. Hug the right knee in. Extend the left foot first to the ceiling. Keep the right knee up against the belly. Begin to lower the left leg down, almost like a diving board. It can bounce a little bit. And then take the left arm over the head. Reach away from the big toe of the left foot. And then look over the right shoulder. So you're pulling the right knee in, reaching the left leg out without twisting the pelvis. Your left leg is kind of bouncing outside of your hip. And then take a nice deep breath. Exhale. Tuck the pelvis as you draw the knee in and reach the toe further out. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Pull the knee in. Reach the leg out. And then bring the head to center. Bring the hand and leg to center. Just let, the weight rest against the belly. Hug underneath that left leg, reach up with the right foot. Let's return on that side to that long and lengthened diving board. Take the right hand overhead, reach. Look over the left shoulder and reach in those two directions. Get long. Big deep breath. And then exhale again. Slight tuck of the pelvis. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, bring the right knee in, lower the right hand down, let the knees just drop into the chest, even look between your feet and see if your feet are more level than they normally are. All right, let's drop the right foot and left foot back to the ground, lift the hips up, take the roller out from underneath you, gently lower the roller back down, return the legs back out. We're gonna do a real quick rest, reassess, noticing again the pelvis, the ribs, and the shoulders. You may notice the ribs more down, the shoulders more down. And we're going to finish this whole series with a rebalance sequence. Just notice the hamstrings may more specifically be on the ground. The pelvis may feel like it's settling a little deeper into the ground, so you're not being pulled by the lower back. All right, slide those feet in. Let's shift off to one side. Tuck that roller underneath the backside. Come on up and let's lay back onto the roller. So you want to check the base of the roller to make sure you're fully on, and check the top of the roller to make sure your head's fully on. And then just begin our gentle rocking side to side. Just think of that movement as just an easy movement. You're feeling that connection of the roller to the spine. The roller is not rolling across the back. You and the roller are one piece. Just let the breath kind of lead the movement. Let the eyes move around. So not only are we kind of crossing that midline of the body, but you can look in opposition to the direction that you're rolling and really connect deeply into the body, connect deep into the brain, and then pause in the center. Just bend the elbows and touch the rib wall. Feel the breath into the ribs. Slide the hands down, let the thumbs meet the navel and the hands against the pelvis, and then tuck the pelvis and tilt the pelvis. Now when you tuck and tilt the pelvis, a lot of times the ribs want to lift up or you want to push into your feet. Just be gentle here, nice and long. Think of the movement as really coming from deep inside the body. And then tilt the pelvis back to level, and then tuck and tilt and tuck and tilt. Big deep breath. Take your top hand to your chest, your right hand to your chest. Leave your left hand on your belly. And think of breathing into all 6 sides, to the floor of the pelvis, to the belly, to the rib cage, to the chest, to the back. Exhale. And again, inhale. And exhale. Once more like that. Inhale, nice and deep. Exhale. Reach those arms out towards your knees with your thumbs pointing slightly back towards your head. Double arm circles. Arms come over your head. Circle around, kind of hugging the underside of a ball, and then back up and overhead. Palms towards the sky as they come down by your thighs. Palms face each other. Arms overhead. Keep the arms just inside eye line so you're not losing your arms into behind your ears. Your arms actually stay just about in line with the torso. So you don't want to get too, it's not ideal to get too much stretch here. It's not what we're going for. We're going to try to find the evenness of the movement within the joint, the gentle threading or flossing of that nerve within the movement line of the tissue. Once more, take those arms up and overhead and then circle around. And then just let your hands drop back to the side. Slide your hands out, kind of a deep A-frame, just your fingertips end up touching the ground, and then look to your right shoulder as you further reach down along into your left arm. So your fingertips are still touching the ground, you're just reaching further away from your left shoulder with your left hand. Exhale. Inhale, bring your head center. Look over to your left, reach through that right arm. Get long on that right side. And exhale. Inhale, bring your head center, release the forearms. Let the shoulders drop back. Slide your right or left leg out. Roll off gently off the roller. Lay back on your back once again. Arms are out wide. Hips, ribs, shoulders, arms and head level on the ground. Taking a deep breath. Quieting, being still. Let your body take in what you've just done. Let your body connect to that new posture, that leveling of the body. Good, go ahead and slide those feet in. Let the knees just rest for a second, pointing up, feet on the ground. As it's comfortable, shift to one side. Roll to bring yourself all the way up to standing. Go slow as you need to. Bring your feet underneath the body again, and we'll just finish with a standing reassessment. Shoulders over your hips, over your heels. Just notice that balance between the right and left feet. Good. Lift up all 10 toes. And on the next exhale, just drop all 10. Big deep breath. And we are done.